Well, hello again. I thought I might cheer the people up in the UK by recording a video while it's actually overcast and raining here in Australia. It's the 14th of July, equivalent of the 14th of December in the UK. It's about 13 degrees centigrade. It's going to get to a high of about 17 today. I don't think the weather's that dissimilar to that in the UK, which is in the middle of summer. I remember when I came out here, actually, I came out here in August, and it's winter here, last month of winter here, August, and of course August is a summer month in the UK. I got off the plane here and it was about the same temperature. Okay, so to the nitty gritty. I did see some more stuff that I thought would be worth commenting on. So I made a few notes as usual, and I'll make some comments. There's a guy called Michael Masters. I'm not sure if I've heard of this guy or not. It sort of sounds vaguely familiar. Don't know what his history is in all this stuff. But he's had an alien download, apparently. An alien appeared in front of him. He downloaded information directly into his brain using lots of coloured lights. Now, the alien did ask him if he would mind, and he said, "Oh no, go ahead." The alien said, "I want to put some information. I want to download some information into your head. You're not going to have access to this information. I'm just going to store it in your brain." So presumably Mr. Masters thought, wow, that would make me super special. So he said to the alien, "Go right ahead. Just download this information into my head that I have absolutely no access to." Now, how realistic does that sound to you? It doesn't sound at all realistic to me, I have to say. If an alien appeared in front of me and said, "Hey Steve, I just want to store some information in your head. I'm going to use a load of flashing lights. I'm going to store this information in your brain, but you're not going to know what this information is. You're not going to have any access to it. Do you mind?" And I think my response would contain the word "off," to be perfectly honest. And how convenient is it that he can't access it? You know, if he can't access it, he can't give us any details about it. You know, we can't check if it's likely to be alien information or not. Are there really people out there that believe this bloody rubbish? Really? I mean, is this another guy that writes books about this stuff? With his alien encounters, getting all this information that he's no access to so he can't share? Drivel. Absolute bloody rubbish. Now, apparently there's going to be some big event that's going to happen on July the 15th, that's tomorrow. That might be UFO related. So the aliens are going to arrive. There might be a fake alien invasion, presumably. Not specific, of course, with this. You know, I've just remote view something. I'm getting these messages in my head. Something big is going to happen on the 15th of July. I'll make a bold prediction. Nothing is going to happen on the UFO ET front. I've seen the news this morning regarding Trump. I don't regard that as big news, to be honest. If the guy had succeeded, it would be big news. But you know, put a band-aid on an ear is not particularly big news. Personally, I don't think. And it would have happened on the 13th. Oh, and apparently this, whatever happens tomorrow, may have scary implications. Oh, wait a minute, I've just read a bit further down. You've got to bear in mind, I'll make these notes. You know, I'm doing stuff around the place, and I stop and have a coffee. look at a bit of internet, and I'll make a note. And then I go back to what I'm doing. So it's not like I sit down, go through all this stuff and make notes. So now it may, this information has come from Jason Sands and other whistleblowers. Are saying that the control group is in contact with some ETs who are telling them we're coming. So Jason Sands, another guy with zero credibility, my personal opinion of course, and other whistleblowers, Grush, you know, people that have no personal experience with any of this stuff, choose to believe what they've been told by others, are saying the control group. Now, who's the control group? Is this group of UFO, this core of piffle peddlers, Eric Davis and Hal Putoff and all those guys, that are saying if you don't toe the line, you're going to be out of the piffle peddling club. You're going to be out of the UFO club. You're not going to be in the control group. What are they controlling exactly? The control group is in contact with some ETs who are telling them we're coming. The ETs are on the way here and they're going to kill us all. Now, if I was an extraterrestrial and I was on my way here to kill everybody, the last thing I would do would be to tell a control group on the planet that I'm going to be on my way to do that. How ridiculous does that sound to you? How close does this sound to the plot in the X-Files, where you got the little core of people, you know, the smoking man and the guy that does a terrible job of pretending to be English. They're the control group in the X-Files, aren't they? This is what this has come from, isn't it? It's complete and utter rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. ETs are not on the way here, and they're not going to kill us all when they get here. You know, I've said before, you know, that if they were going to take the planet, it'd be done biologically. Biologically, we know how quickly disease can spread around the planet. Everyone would be dead within a few days. We wouldn't even meet them. They certainly wouldn't announce they were coming here to do that. So, you know, when you consider the source of this information, Jason Sands and the whistleblowers, the control group, put a line through it, it's complete and utter rubbish. Absolute rubbish. It gets more and more pathetic. I think I said it in the video yesterday or the day before, Friday wasn't it, I did the video. It's getting more and more pathetic by the day as these people clutch at straws for stuff they can put out. You know, and it's just embarrassing rubbish. So, you know, so what are Jason Sands and the other whistleblowers saying about it? If they're coming to kill us all, they're going to kill the control group as well, aren't they? But it's certainly jolly sporting of the ETs to let them know they're on their way here to kill us all. So we can do something about it. We can get some nukes ready, you know. This is science fiction rubbish. Control group straight out of the X-Files. Dribble. More and more pathetic every day. More and more people every day are realising it's pathetic. And then it's a load of rubbish. All this ET coming here, ET crashing here, is complete and utter rubbish. Now, Gary Nolan and Hal Putoff are complaining about Arrow's metamaterial analysis results. Hal Putoff, of course, has actually been in the supply chain for this material, so he would have a vested interest in it being something ET related. I think anytime you see Hal Putoff involved with anything, again, this is personal opinion, put a line through it. It's going to be science fiction rubbish. Now, Gary Nolan can't be an idiot. You know, he's not a self-employed dog walker or someone that does shopping for OAPs. You know, he's a professor at Princeton, so he can't be an idiot. But what Gary Nolan says is, look at this metamaterial, you know, why would anybody produce a material like this layered bismuth, magnesium, and it's got lead in it as well. Why would anybody make this material? Now that is the wrong question. Now, I would have thought Gary Nolan would have been smart enough to know that is the wrong question. The right question is, what process would create a material like this? Because then you're not looking at a material constructed in that fashion by design. You're looking at something produced by another process that's designed to do something with a different material, and this is just the waste from it. So he should know that he's asking the wrong question. I think he's asking the wrong question deliberately to create intrigue. You know, who would produce, who would make a material like this? What would be the purpose of it? He is smart enough to know they are the wrong questions. So why is he pitching those questions? He should know, he should be smart enough to know that the right question is, what process would create this material? You've got a process for purifying lead called the Betterton-Kroll lead purification process. It produces a slag, a waste product, which is layers of bismuth, magnesium and lead. It's not designed. It's not deliberately constructed. It's a waste product from a lead purification process. And what they, I've said it how many times, what they should be doing, if they want to do this, take this seriously, is get some waste from that Betterton-Kroll lead purification process and compare it with the samples they've got. Compare that layered material, the waste material from that process, layered bismuth, magnesium, lead, and just compare it with what they're calling metamaterial from the Roswell crash. They won't do that, of course, because they know it's going to be the same stuff, and they're going, it's industrial waste, you know. They don't want you to know that. They want to keep the intrigue going. They're clutching at straws to keep some intrigue going about this visiting ET rubbish. So, you know, Gary Nolan, really, you must know the right question to ask. Why are you not asking it? Why are you persevering with this ridiculous, who would make this and what would be its purpose, rubbish? Okay, so apparently Tim Burchett, he was asked, you know, what's going on with regard to Congress and the whistleblowers, and he says, well, get ready for some more UAP news. He says, get ready, you know. There's not going to be anything coming from Congress or Tim Burchett. They're saying, other people are saying, oh, actually, no, it's Ross Coulthard and Bryce Zabel. They're saying, don't get your hopes up. There won't be anything with regard ET, UAP disclosure coming before the American election. And for once, Zabel and Coulthard are absolutely right. There won't be. And there won't be any coming after the election either. They know they're on a pretty safe bet by saying there's not going to be any disclosure before the American election, because they know full well there's nothing to disclose, and there's no disclosure coming after either. There's no disclosure coming after the American election either. You've got to bear in mind that Tim Burchett, you know, I thought Tim Burchett was the right guy to look into this, but I've since changed my mind. since I heard him say that people shouldn't try the CE5 protocol, you know, the Close Encounters 5 protocol, where you sit in a deck chair very much like this, you go out in the desert and you pay, you know, one of these guys $5,000 or whatever it is. You can't take a GPS or a mobile phone or anything else. They don't want you to know where you are, because there'll be an air beacon somewhere out in the desert, and the aircraft are sort of coming towards the beacon and they turn, so you'll see the lights going up and down. I've said it before, you see an aircraft coming into land at night, coming straight at you. The lights appear to be doing this. It looks a bit like a UFO, jerky sort of movements that you get described by people reporting a UFO. And then when the plane turns, you don't see the lights. That's all CE5 is. And Tim Burchett says, don't try this contacting aliens with your consciousness, CE5, Close Encounters 5. Summoning aliens, how arrogant is that? Summoning aliens? Really? Don't try it. Don't try summoning aliens with the CE5 protocol, because you could be exposing yourself to demonic forces. That's what Tim Burchett said. As soon as I heard that, I thought, Tim Burchett, zero credibility, new business. Exposing themselves to demonic forces. Really? We've got people involved in all this that believe in demons. If they're going to believe in demons, they're probably going to believe that these guys are telling the truth, you know. I think that's Burchett's problem. He says, well, David Grush, decorated military officer, what he says is good enough for me. And it isn't, not by a very long chalk. With such a monumental subject, with such a monumental announcement that ET is coming here, ET is crashing here, you need tangible evidence to back that up, or it's science fiction rubbish. I haven't seen any tangible evidence. Have you? So, yeah, put a line through Tim Burchett, and they're going nowhere with that. I mean, if they listen to Grush's mates, these whistleblowers, it's all going to be science fiction rubbish, just like Grush's stories, if there's not tangible evidence to back any of it up. There was a bit about cattle mutilations this week as well. Now, actually, this I know as fact this does happen, because I think it was Wednesday night I had a Scotch fillet steak with cracked pepper sauce and mashed potatoes and some other vegetables, and it was absolutely delicious. So I am guilty, personally, of cattle mutilation. So, yeah, that does happen. Happens in restaurants every night of the week. Nick Pope. Nick Pope said he had a poster of the Calvine. People are peddling, they're digging this bloody Calvine rubbish up yet again. Nick Pope said he had a poster of the Calvine UFO, you know, the one with the Harrier in the background. It's quite a famous picture. On the wall of the UFO project. The UFO project office. Now, more exaggeration and embellishment. It was Nick Pope manned the UFO desk. There was no UFO project. You know, so the UFO desk, him sitting there, taking reports. Oh yeah, you saw a bright light in the sky. Thank you, madam. Time and date, yes. Colour, yes. Oh yeah. Do you know roughly north, east, south, west? Oh yeah, thank you, yeah, okay. File that. That's the UFO desk. Secretariat A2A or whatever it was. Now Nick Pope is talking about the UFO project. I mean, that sounds far bigger, doesn't it? Sounds like a team of people, at least. Like Coiled Springs, you know, waiting to go to look at all these UFO crashes. And as I said before, sitting around drinking tea, actually, because it's in the UK, it'd be tea, not coffee. But they can't have a beer, you know. They go to a barbecue, they can't have a beer, because at any time, back then it would have been a pager probably, the pager's going to go off and they have to leap into action, drive off or fly a light plane somewhere, and they can't do any of that if they've had a drink, like if they've had a beer. So for all the time they can't have a drink. They're going to be sitting around drinking tea. This UFO project. Gross exaggeration. Like all of this UFO stuff, it's all super embellished rubbish. I've said before, the Calvine incident. I don't think it's. Some people have said it's a rock. It's a reflection of a rock in a lake, and the Harrier's actually someone rowing a boat. If you look at the reflection, it's not an exact copy of the top part of it. Reflections should show the actual shape. Should reflect the shape. Yeah? It doesn't. Pardon me. So I don't think it's a reflection. I think it is something in the air. And I think the reason that the image and the report regarding the Calvine incident has been classified for another 50 years or whatever it is because it was one of those lingering LEMVs. It was a lighter than air surveillance platform they were testing. They were looking at it for radar observability, and they were checking the sensors and all that sort of stuff. This sort of research still goes on today with these lighter than air reconnaissance vehicles, and it was probably going to be deployed somewhere at the time. And I think the aircraft is a Harrier that was flying around it, and they were doing tests. I think it was as simple as that. That's why it's been classified. Apparently the two guys that took the photo were visited by Jake and Elwood. One of them became an alcoholic and died, and they can't find the other one. Now, I was watching a video this morning, and someone left a comment. I've actually stood where that photograph was taken and looked out across there. What he didn't say, or what they didn't say, was, is there a rock there? Is it tidal? Does the water level go up and down? Was there a rock there? Why not, if you're going to make a comment like that, why not complete it and say, I didn't see any rock? It's not tidal. If there's no rock there now, there wouldn't have been a rock there then. You know what I mean? Put a line through the Calvine incident. I've said before, if it's not an alien spacecraft because it's got vertical and horizontal stabilising things at the back of the object, diamond-shaped object. And that's to control the pitch and the yaw. And an alien spacecraft would not need aerodynamic surfaces to control pitch and yaw. It just wouldn't. If you've got super exotic propulsion, you do not need to manipulate the pitch and yaw of your flying machine with aerodynamic surfaces. It's not an alien spacecraft. I saw this guy called Eric Weinstein. I've seen him a couple of times. And he said, well, we don't know what these things are. They could be visitors from another galaxy. And I thought, where did they dig this guy up from? Visitors from another galaxy, really? I mean, interstellar travel would be hard enough. The distances between the stars in this galaxy is colossal. Visitors from another galaxy, you talk, and the nearest galaxy is 2.5 million light years away. So I think interstellar travel, extremely hard to do. Intergalactic travel, forget it. It's never going to happen. So I don't quite know where they dug this guy up from, but I didn't consider it. After he said that, I thought the rest of this is going to be rubbish, really. Although he did say that, I think he said that he suspects we're going to be stuck on this planet or in this solar system. He doesn't think we're going to be flying around the galaxy. And I think he's probably right. I think interstellar travel is just too hard. It's too hard to do with a vehicle with a crew on it. I mean, you might send a probe, but the distances are such that it's going to take years and years and years. I mean, just to get Voyager at its current velocity would take 780,000 years to get to these planets 40 light years away that they're showing a lot of interest in at the moment. You know, so and does anybody out there expect any electronic systems to be able to survive that long? How long does your laptop last, or your mobile phone last? The technology is not going to have the kind of longevity that will allow for automated missions to the stars. It's not going to happen. I've already covered that bit. Well, I think that's it. I think that is it. So, oh, I did see something about the British government was talking about how they were discussing how they would break it to the population that we're not alone in the galaxy or the universe. And I think this has got nothing to do with little green men coming here, or little grey men, or visits of any kind. I think this has got more to do with the Cambridge professor that's involved with the JWST, and they're looking at a given planet and they're looking at gases in the atmosphere. They've been calibrating the JWST to detect gases that are only made by industrial processes or technological processes, synthetic gases. And they've got the JWST pointing at this planet at the moment. Now they reckon they're going to need 5 passes of the planet between its star and us. 5 passes to get enough data to aggregate that data and be able to tell if there are any of those synthetic chemicals in its atmosphere. And if there are, they're going to announce that they have found a planet that they believe has a technological civilization, or at least an industrial civilization occupying it. And that's because of this. I think this Cambridge professor was saying that they hope to make that announcement before Christmas. They hope to be able to confidently say either there's technology or industry there or there isn't by Christmas. And I think that's what this is all about. So the government suddenly has got credible people saying, you know, not I've got a flying saucer crashed in my back garden, or I've seen a picture of a flying saucer sticking out of the ground. You know, these are credible people involved in remote sensing, looking out into the galaxy, looking at the planets, saying that they're collecting data from a very interesting planet and they may be able to make an announcement before Christmas. So the government's thought, well, okay, if that announcement is we are not alone, how are we going to tell everybody? I don't think they need to worry about it really. All the professor needs to do is to put it on YouTube or put it on Facebook, and it will be all over the world. It'll go viral. And no one will be able to. No one will have time to worry about it. Everybody will know about it. That will be that. But yeah, it's interesting. As I said before, it's going to be the remote sensing. You know, SETI, JWST, Hubble, all this remote sensing stuff. There's going to find ET out in the galaxy. I'm sure that they have to be out there. It's not going to be because they're coming here. They're going to face the same issues we are, travelling through, you know, the sort of interstellar distances, travelling over interstellar distances. It's going to be very, very hard to do. Certainly going to be very hard to do with a vehicle with a crew on it. And as for coming from another galaxy, I wouldn't even consider that. It's 2.5 million light years away, really. Yeah, so they are continuing to find more interesting planets. I don't think they found any quite as interesting as this one. I'm on Earth at the moment, by the way. Contrary to popular belief. Because the Earth is in the Goldilocks zone. Temperature-wise, it spins on its axis. Slightly tilted, so you've got seasons. It's got a protective electromagnetic field around it, generated by the big molten Earth, spinning molten iron at Earth's core, generates an electromagnetic field, protects the planet from cosmic rays and all that sort of stuff. It's got a useful atmosphere. It's a very unusual combination. You know, a lot of the planets that are out there could be in the Goldilocks zone, but they don't rotate, or they don't have an electromagnetic field, or they don't have an atmosphere. You know? So there might be plenty of planets out there, but I think the set of parameters that make life on Earth possible is probably pretty rare. When you consider the huge diversity of critters that are here, you know, from microbes to ants, you know, dogs and cats and elephants and all this, snakes and lizards. It's not just us, is it? Goodness knows how many species are here. So it strongly suggests, I think, that if you've got a planet, it's in the Goldilocks zone. Oh, it's got water, of course. You've got liquid water as well. So I suppose, no, okay, liquid water. Yeah, you're going to need liquid water as well. So, in fact, that's probably the key to it. Where was I going with this? So the amount of it's sort of geared up so that, you know, this panspermia theory, you know, of comets and what have you, sort of just travelling around the galaxy, travelling around a newly formed solar system or whatever, and they're dropping useful stuff onto all the planets, and the planets that are right for those biological materials to thrive, it takes. I'll put seeds in the garden, you know. That's probably how it works. That's the way nature sort of works, isn't it? With bees pollinating and all this sort of stuff. So with these comets flying around through the galaxy, leaving these big tails, you know, the planets go through the tails, and the material drops onto the planets. And if the planet is the right sort of temperature, it's got water, it's got the right sort of atmosphere, they don't get fried with the cosmic radiation or radiation from the sun because there's an electromagnetic field around it, then life takes a hold. But you need that combination, and it's probably you need that combination of parameters. You're going to have the liquid water, it's got to be the right temperature, it's got to rotate, it'll be better if it rotates, you've got to have an electromagnetic field, you've got to have a useful atmosphere. They may be quite rare. And some people say you've got to have the moon as well. I don't know how different life would be here if there was no moon, if you took the moon away. Apart from, obviously, there not being any tides anywhere, what would does the moon stabilise the Earth's orbit? I don't know. The other planets seem pretty stable. Might just because they've all got moons. Anyway, I'm rambling now. So, thank you very much indeed for watching. If you've struggled all the way through the video to this point, and maybe I'll catch you again.